Hi, welcome to today's restorative flow. For tonight's class, you will need 2 throw-sized blankets, 2 yoga blocks, and a chair or a wall to close in. So let's go ahead and get started. Coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the groin. Starting to rock side to side, feeling those sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bringing your shoulders up to the ears, waterfall the shoulder blades down the back. Doing that a couple more times. And start to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. Closing your eyes if that feels safe, and if that doesn't feel safe, just lowering the gaze down to the ground. Taking the next few breaths, start to notice how it feels to breathe tonight. Where does that air want to go? Where does that air not want to go? I'm going to open up tonight's practice with some alternate nostril breath. So taking one hand, flipping it over so the palm's facing the ceiling, folding the 3 middle fingers down, making the hang loose sign. Bringing the thumb up to one nostril, block this side off and breathe in here. Block off with the pinky, release the thumb, exhale. Stay here, inhale. Block off with the thumb, release the pinky, exhale. That's 1 round, doing 5 more. After your last alternate nostril breath, come back to deep yogic breathing. Bring the hands to heart center, pressing the thumbs into the sternum. Take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for today's practice. It's your practice, make it personal. Exhale, release the hands to the knees, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this, let your breath start to carry you. When your ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and leave it there. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And walk the opposite hand away from the body, lengthening those scalings. Taking some deep breaths here. I'm walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up, switching sides, bringing the ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. Now walk the opposite hand away from the body. Breathing in here. And walking the hand back behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring the fingers back behind the occipital. Drop the chin to the chest and then round the back, look down at the belly. Adding just a little bit of pressure on the back of the skull here. Find that stretch through the neck all the way through the low back. Inhale, lift up. We are going to open up tonight in Paschimottanasana. So for a supported Paschimottanasana, we will take one of our blankets and roll it up, making it into a small burrito. This blanket will go underneath the knees, so we'll extend both legs out in front and slip that blanket underneath the knees. Go ahead and roll the feet, releasing any tension that might still be in the legs, and let those toes flop out. Maybe pull the flesh away from the sit bones. From there, you might want to take your second blanket and fold it up like so, and place that on your lap. Depending on your range of motion, you might want to bring your block and pile that up on your lap too. You have 2 blocks, you have lots of things to play with here. We're going to lift up through the spine and then walk the hands forward. The back actually rounds in this pose. Letting the body find that support. We're going to hang out here for about 5 minutes, taking some deep breaths here. Slowly deepen your breath. Walking the hands back, coming back up to the seated position. We're going to take whatever's on our laps, take them off the lap. Coming off your little burrito. You'll want to keep the burrito handy for the rest of the flow. The next pose we're going to play with is Janu Shriyasana. So to do Janu Shriyasana, we'll bring one leg out to the side and bring one heel in towards the groin. Make sure both sit bones are glued to the earth and lift up through the spine. We'll twist over the extended leg. From here, you're going to want to grab your burrito, maybe your blanket pillow, maybe even your block. You can pile this up as high as you need to, whatever it takes so that you can lift up, twist, and then rest your belly down on the support. Slowly deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders and push yourself back up. Offering your knee a little bit of support, we're going to bend the outstretched leg and stretch out the bent leg, coming into Janu Shriyasana on the opposite side. Knowing that both sides are probably different, so you may need different props on one side versus the other. We'll lift up through the spine, twist over the extended leg, and fold forward. Bringing those hands back underneath the shoulders, walking the torso back up, coming back into a seated position. So the next pose we're going to come into is one of those poses you either love or you hate, or you hate it while you're in it and you love it when you come out of it. What I am going to suggest is that if you don't do this supported in a regular vinyasa class, please try it supported in this class so that you can find some relaxation. Totally up to you if you use one blanket rolled upward, two. If you have tight hips, maybe try two. We're going to bring our little bolster burritos about 2/3 of the way down the mat widthwise. We're going to come in to tabletop, coming over our blankets. Now, you might want to also have a block handy for where we're going. I am going to bring my right leg up and over the blanket, paralleling my shin to the front of the mat. That's going to leave my little blanket burrito right underneath my hips, which is where I would like it. My left leg is extended lengthwise down the mat, and my right foot is flexed to protect my right knee. From here, come down onto the forearms, coming into sleeping pigeon. If one blanket under the hips isn't enough, maybe try two. If it's almost enough, but you think you can go just a little deeper, maybe slip a block underneath that hip. If you have really open hips, maybe don't use any props. We're going to be here for just a little bit, about 3 minutes on each side, taking some deep breaths here. Slowly deepen your breath. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders and push yourself back into tabletop. From tabletop, shake the hips from side to side. See how the back is feeling. Maybe take a couple cat-cows. Whatever motion feels comfortable. You know, yoga law says if we do one side, we need to do the other. So bringing that left leg up and over the blanket, paralleling that left shin to the front of the mat, flexing that left foot, extending the right leg down the mat. Maybe using one blanket, maybe using two, maybe playing with a block here. And then walking the body forward, coming into sleeping pigeon on the opposite side. Only hanging out here for about 3 minutes, so taking some deep breaths. Bringing both hands back underneath the shoulders, pushing yourself back into tabletop. Taking a moment here, moving the hips. We'll bring the toes together and the knees out wide and sink those hips back to meet the heels, coming into a balasana. 5 deep breaths. Bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, pushing yourself back up. So a couple of you are going to want to keep your burrito for the next pose. The rest of us are probably going to want to play with both the blocks. Your blocks have 3 levels, but for this pose, we're going to put both blocks on the baby grow level to make a little platform. We'll go ahead and find our backs. Putting the weight into the heels. Lift the hips up and slip either the block or your burrito underneath both hips. From here, start to straighten both legs, bring the legs out as wide as physically possible, and then bring the arms up and over your head for a pose we know as starfish. If, while you're in starfish, you feel very open and vulnerable here, it might help to slip a blanket across the hips. It doesn't change the pose at all, it just makes it a little bit more comfortable. and bend both knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. Putting the weight into the heels. We're gonna move the blocks or the blanket, coming back onto the spine. Hugging the knees to the chest, make yourself into a small ball. And then start to rock up and down the mat 2 or 3 times, coming back to a seated position. The next move, as always, depends on your flexibility. But because it's not one we do in my studio very frequently, I am going to suggest everybody make a double burrito here. So taking both blankets and rolling them into one super burrito. And then bringing that super burrito up a third of the way down the mat from the top of your mat. We're going to come into half saddle, so we'll be doing both sides. We'll only hold this pose for about 3.5 minutes on each side. What we will do is extend both legs out in front, much like Paschimottanasana, much like the move we opened with. We'll bend one knee and bring the heel back by the glute. The closer the knee is towards the midline, the more intense your quad stretch will be. From here, you're going to start to walk the hands back. For some people, just leaning back a little bit is an intense stretch, and that's the limit. Hang out there. Maybe you want to come down onto your forearms. Awesome. Maybe you want to lay back down on to your burrito. It fully depends on your range of motion. Come into your version. We're going to hold this for about 3 minutes. You should have a beautiful stretch in your hip flexor and in that quad. It's totally going to depend on how far back you laid, how your knee feels, all that good jazz. For me, I personally like to just roll up a little bit and release the leg and roll out to come out of it. Some people, that doesn't feel good. If that doesn't feel good, bring the arms back behind you. Use the arms to push yourself up. You just don't want to use your neck to bring yourself back up to seated. Once you come to seated, we're going to go ahead and switch sides, bringing that heel right up to the glute. And then play with it again. See what calls to you on this side. Maybe just lean back a little bit. Maybe come back on to those forearms. Maybe try to lay it down. See what this side of the body wants. This is our final pose before Savasana. And again, listening to your body, finding the best way to come out of the pose for you. We're going to come into our final resting pose. So of course, Savasana is always an option. In Savasana, it might feel good to slip a blanket underneath the knees and do a supported Savasana. Or maybe you would like to join me in a legs up the wall or legs up the chair. For legs up the wall or legs up the chair, I like to put a blanket on the chair. It just adds a little bit more padding, makes it feel a little bit more comfortable. If you are pregnant, if your low back hurts, if you just want to make this pose just a little bit more delicious, go ahead and take your second blanket and roll it into a rectangle that's roughly that thick. And slip that rectangle right at the base of the wall or chair. And you come into legs up the wall or legs up the chair, we'll come onto that outer hip and slip the booty up onto the wall. The legs come up the chair or up the wall, and we lay flat. In legs up the wall, generally the legs are like this, and the wall is supporting your heels, your calves, and your booty. In legs up the chair, the legs just rest on the chair. And of course in Savasana, we're flat on our backs. Maybe the arms come overhead, maybe the arms come down by the side. Either way, we're here for about 8 minutes. Closing those eyes, letting relaxation take over. Slowly deepen your breath and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bending the knees and sliding the feet down the wall. Bring the arms up and over your head for full body stretch. Rolling over onto one side, pausing there for just a moment. Bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself. One thing that you're grateful for right now. And offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for taking time to practice tonight. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at Anjali Heart Center. And I leave you with these words from page 166 of the She Book, Volume 2. I used to believe that I had to learn how to love myself before I could take care of myself. But I realized that taking care of myself is actually teaching me how to love myself. I am so grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one of you. I hope you leave this practice feeling just a skosh better than when we started. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. If you find value in this Wednesday night offering, please share it with your friends and family. We do it every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and it will always be free. If you would like to practice some different kind of yoga with me or more frequently, maybe check out my Patreon. We no longer need to be in close proximity to Kitsap County to practice together. In the meantime, be kind to yourself and be kind to others.